now that we have talked about the slope of parallel and perpendicular lines, we can apply this concept to writing equations of lines. So pretty much what we're doing is taking what we talked about the last two lessons and applying it to a concept that you talked about in Algebra 1. Recall from those last two lessons that parallel lines have the same slope, and perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes, meaning fancy for opposite sign and fraction. That's what that means. Change the sign plus the fraction. Okay. So if you take a look at this first example, we want to write the equation of a line that is parallel to the line y equals 1/3 x minus 2 and passes through the point 9, -6. And again, just like we said, parallel lines have the same slope. So the slope of our new line is going to be the same exact slope of our given line. And remember, equations of lines are written in the form y equals mx plus b, where m, the number in front of the x, is our slope, and b, which is that back number, is our y-intercept. And our new equation is going to have the same slope as our given equation. So if you look at the slope of our given equation, which is the number in front of x, it's 1/3. So the slope of our new line is also going to be 1/3. We just need to figure out the b of our new line, and it's super tempting to say it's this back number, -2. Okay. But it's not. It's because it's a new equation, it's going to have a completely new b. So, and they didn't tell us what that was. They didn't say, hey, your b is this, or your y-intercept is this. It didn't say in the directions anywhere. So we have to figure out what that is. To do that, what we're going to do is use this point they gave us. They gave us the point 9, -6. We can plug that in and plug our slope into this formula, y equals mx plus b, and then solve for b. So you're going to take 9 and plug it in for x, right here. You're going to take -6, plug it in for y, and you're going to take your slope and plug it in for m. Okay, so it's going to look like this. So -6 is equal to 1/3 times 9 plus b. So by plugging in your slope, by plugging in your point, you just made b the only variable in that equation. Well, we can easily solve for b. When we solve, multiply the 1/3 and the 9 together. 1/3 times 9 is 3. To get b by itself, you just move over the 3. 6 minus, -6 minus 3 is -9. So there's our b. That's not our answer, that's just part of our answer. So what we need to do is take the two values and plug it in. So our equation is going to be this. The y now goes back to being a y. Our m, which is our slope, we said was 1/3. X goes back to being an x. And then we just found that our b was -9. So a totally new equation that's parallel to our given equation would be 1/3 x minus 9. Let's see another example like this. In example 2, we want to write an equation of a line that is perpendicular to the line y equals 4x and passes through the point 8, 10. So again, when you see the word perpendicular, that just means negative reciprocal slope, meaning opposite sign, flip fraction. Okay? So we're writing a completely new equation. So we're writing an equation on one and y equals mx plus b. In order to write the equation of that line, we need two things. We need our m, which is our slope, and our b. Okay? We always are going to find our slope by using the given line. We're going to take the slope of the given line, so in this case our slope is 4, because that's the number in front of the x. And we want a line that's perpendicular. So again, opposite sign, flip fraction. We'll flip your fraction when it's a whole number. Remember, it's over 1. When we flip that, it becomes 1 over 4. And then flip the sign, positive times 2 and negative. So the slope of our new line is negative 1/4. So parallel, you see the word parallel, you just take whatever the slope is of the given line, and that's the slope of your new line. When you see perpendicular, you have to take the slope of your given line, flip it, and change the sign. Again, we aren't given our b, so we have to use the point they gave us. Okay? So you take the point that they gave us, you're going to plug, again, 8 in for x, you're going to plug 10 in for y, and you plug your slope in for m. So it'll look like this. So 10 is equal to negative 1/4, 8 plus, and then you just solve for b. To solve for b, you just do negative 1/4 times 8, do negative 2. Move over the 2. 12, add your b. Again, that's not our answer, that's just part of our answer. Okay, that's our b. Once you find your b, you can now write the equation of your line. You have the y goes back to being the y. Our m, we said was negative 1/4. Our x goes back to being an x. And our b is a positive 12, plus 12. There's our answer. There is an equation of a line that's perpendicular to the line 4x plus 9. And it's the same exact steps every single time. You figure out your slope, whether or not it's parallel or perpendicular. Once you figured out your slopes, you plug in your point, you solve for b. Once you find b, you can write the equation of your line. Well, if we take a look at example 3, it's saying write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to the line graphed below and passes through point C. Okay. Well, instead of giving an equation, we're just given a graph. So we're still writing our line in the form y equals mx plus b. And again, we still need our two things. We still need our m, and we still need our b. Your first step, you always need to figure out what your m is using your given line or your given equation. Well, in order to find the m of our new line, we have to know the m of our given line. And in this situation, we were given a graph. So in order to find the slope of our graph, we just have to count. You're going to do rise over run. We count up and over. So when we count up, our rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And our run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, can always simplify your fraction. So 10 over 15 simplifies down to 2 over 3. You have to be careful. That's the slope of AB. We're writing a completely new line. So we have to find a completely new slope. And that line we're writing is perpendicular. So remember, whenever you see perpendicular, that means opposite sign and flipped fraction. So to find the slope of our new line, we're going to flip our fraction. So it's going to become 3 over 2, and then change the sign. So it's going to go from positive to negative. So that's the slope of our new line. We're trying to find our b of our new line. So again, just like the other two examples, you plug in the point that it's passing through. And in the directions, it says it's passing through point C. So we have to figure out, well, what are the coordinates of point C? So we count, the x value is 1 over 1. So the x value is 1. And down 3, so the y value. So the coordinates of that point is 1, negative 3. That's the point we're plugging in. So C, I'm going to write it right here. And 1, negative 3. So just like all the other problems, you're going to plug 1 in for x, negative 3 in for y, and your slope in for l. So we will get negative 3 is equal to negative 3 over 2 times 1. And we solve for b. Negative 3 over 2 times 1, which is negative 3 over 2. Then you move over the negative 3 over 2 by doing the opposite, so we're adding it over. So we end up getting that b is equal to, you do negative 3 over 2 plus negative 3, you will get, negative 3 over 2. So again, negative 3 plus 3 over 2 is just negative 3 over 2. You might need to plug that in your calculator. So, well, that's not a fraction, but the steps are exactly the same. It doesn't change anything just because it's a fraction. So now we have our m, we have our b, we can write the equation of our line. So again, the y goes back to being the y. Our m was negative 3 over 2. Our x goes back to being an x. And our b was minus 3 over 2. So whenever your b is negative, you just put a minus sign in the number. I know it's a little different because you're dealing with fractions, but your steps are exactly the same. And you might just need to use your calculator a little more to help you out with those fractions. One more example. In this one, it says, which of the following lines would be perpendicular to the line y equals 3/4 x minus 9? In this one, we don't have to do as much work because we can determine if lines are perpendicular just based off the slope. And remember, when we have the word perpendicular, that means negative reciprocal or opposite sign. Flips fraction. So take a look at the slope of your original graph, your given graph. In this case, it's 3/4. Okay. Well, look at all 4 lines. Which one is opposite? We can rule 2 of them out. The slope in A is not opposite, and the slope in C is not opposite. So we can rule C and A out because they're the same signs. So now we at least have a 50-50 shot. But which one's flipped? Again, our slope is 3/4. So to make it perpendicular, we flip the point, we flip the fraction, so it becomes 4/3. Change the sign. So our slope of our new line is going to be -4/3. That one is the one that's -4/3. It's just opposite signs, but the fractions are not flipped. There we go. You need to watch the video again. If not,